So you're saying you're into real estate. Like how long ago did you get into real estate?
I think I bought my first rental property in 2009.
Okay.
I think 2009.
Yeah.
However many years ago that was.
Yeah. It feels like a long time ago now.
Yeah.
Did you sort of just do the sort of flip and that sort of thing? Is that what you were doing? Like sort of renovating and flipping, or
yeah.
how did it work?
Yeah, I'll give you a little more context. So I was selling pharmaceuticals at the time, and I had been for a few years, and I noticed it was very volatile, right? Like there's a lot of layoffs and a lot of unknowns, and I'm like, shit, man, like, and that's why. So I was in Austin, Texas, and I was doing well in sales, and they were like, listen, we got a layoff coming. But you're doing good. So you can either take the layoff, take the severance, or we'll move you to another territory. It just so happened the territory that was open was my hometown. And so it's Monroe, Louisiana, called the Monroe Magnet, because I always tried to get the hell out of this town and it kept sucking me back in. So that's where I live today. And anyway, I was like, you know what's the job? What's a business model that I can make money and not have to be there 9 to 5 to run it? You know, what's something I can do on the side and still keep my job? And so real estate just made sense to me. Like I'm a very simple-minded person. A house is tangible. I can see if something is broken. I know if tenants are there. I know if rent's coming in. You know what I mean? Versus stocks. I can't make stocks make sense in my head. I can't make Bitcoin make sense in my head. And so that I'm not saying that there's nothing wrong with stocks or Bitcoin. People do quite well with it, but for me, real estate was the avenue I chose. And so I bought one, and then I bought another right next door to it. And then I bought a third, like within 2 years, and I thought I was killing it. Right.
Yeah.
And,
Man.
And so
as you would, yeah.
Yeah. And so, fast forward, so I'm steady, like soaking up as much knowledge as I can. Like I'm just trying to figure out this game, you know, and am I doing this right? Am I not doing it right? And there's a guy by the name of Robert Kiyosaki. Have you ever heard of that name?
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
Robert Kiyosaki wrote a book called Rich Dad Poor Dad. He's written.
I think I've. Oh, football's gonna fall down. There you go.
Yeah, that's it. Have you read it?
Yeah, dude. Yeah, I have. Yeah.
Yeah. So if anything, it's not going to tell you how to buy houses, but it's going to shift your mindset. It's going to shift your perception on what we've been taught our entire life. You know, like there's nothing that I went to school for other than a simple use of a calculator and addition that taught me how to buy property, you know? And so that book opened my mind to another way. And, for real estate, and then also just in life, that we've all been socially conditioned to think a certain way. And so it kind of opened the door. And so I went to I bring him up to say, I went to a Robert Kiyosaki seminar. Okay. Try to see how short I can make this story. That you go to the free seminar, they sell you on the $400 seminar. You go to that one, they sell you on the big package, right? So long story short, or long story even longer, I bought a package for $30,000 for the year, for like a mentorship for the next year.
Okay. One
of the best investments I've ever made. Yeah, it sounds like a lot of money. It did at the time. And I sat in that hotel room just like, what the fuck? Like, what am I, hopefully cussing's fine on this show, but I'm just like, man, what the heck am I going to do? Is this the right move? Is this not the right move? And so I did it, and I had the money paid back within about 6 months. And I still use some of that stuff today, you know, from the knowledge that I have. So fast forward, and then once I got done with that, man, it just started to snowball. A few years later, I was able to walk away from my job, and we're doing the thing. So
that's good to hear, man. No, that's a good story. Yeah, man. I think I've been to a few of those sort of business development seminars and that sort of thing, and investing seminars along the way. And I remember the first one I went to, I think it was a guy called like Aaron Sansoni or something. And he was running it. I wasn't really into what he was selling, but other people that were there, you know, do you have Boost Juice in America?
I don't know what that is.
Yeah. So Boost Juice, it's like basically like you know, they make like sort of frozen berry shakes and that sort of stuff. I I'm trying to remember the name of the lady that owns it now, but she was there anyway, and sort of giving you a look into what professional sort of investors and that sort of stuff do, and business owners and that sort of thing, to be able to get to where they are. And
Uh,
they were sort of throwing out those packages and stuff as well, and I was like, man, I can't afford that. Like, and they weren't $30,000, but they were sort of $2,500, $3,000, and I'm going, nah, man, I can't. Like, who pays this sort of thing? And then, that was I guess that was my, I had a pretty good mindset at the same time when it came to like spending money to make money. I didn't really have that mindset there yet. And, now I have a business mentor, and he's fantastic. And, he charges about $400 an hour. And,
yeah,
when I first started with him, I just went, you know what, like, let's just give this a go, because if I don't do it, then I'm never going to know anyway. And
right.
he's one of the best blokes I've ever met when it comes to, me being able to move forward in my business. We'll sit down once a month or once every couple of weeks. And man, what I learned from him in that sort of hour or two is just really good. And he just gives me clear direction. And I think that was the
Yeah,
one thing that, like, having someone like a mentor, um, you know, there to be able to guide you, it just gives you that direction. And I'd never felt that before until I started sort of working with him, eh? So yeah, I
right
agree,
on.
man. It's like money well spent, hey?
Yeah, but you seem like a sharp cat. Is it direction or is it more accountability?
Yeah, it's probably accountability as well, man. So um, there's it was just the business side of things that I didn't really understand. So for me,
Uh,
creatively, I'm sort of always sort of scratching that itch, and putting new things out and trying new things. Like, I've tried a lot of things, but yeah, so I'm always like willing to try and get after it. But when it came to like the business background, like when we first sat down with Steve, his name is, I sort of sat down and he said, mate, you've actually done quite a fair bit, with your business. I was
right.
surprised because the way you sort of said that, the way that you, because he was just a family friend who put me in, who got me in touch with him. And when he was sort of coming to meet up with me, he sort of assumed that I hadn't really done a whole lot. And then he was like, man,
Uh,
I'm actually really impressed with what you've done. What are you actually looking for? And I said, dude, I'm sort of after a business partner, because I just need someone who I can bounce questions off, like, quite freely, when it comes to the business side of things, the sort of nitty gritty sort of things. And,
right.
you can learn them. But a lot of the time, if you haven't got anyone in your family or in your group of friends from a business background, you don't really know if you're doing it right or not. So to have him, as you said, he was sort of there as a bit of accountability to be able to
Mhm.
help move me forward, and to sort of kick my ass if I wasn't if I wasn't sort of putting enough effort in and that sort of stuff. So
Nice to have. You got to have those people. Yeah, like whether it's a coach or a mentor or somebody you trust that
yeah,
says like, "I've been there and done it," that like gives you like the nod, like, yes, you're doing that right, or no,
yeah,
you probably want to think about doing this. So
yeah.
I think that's good on you for doing that.
Thanks, man. Thanks. And so, do you have any like do you have any sort of someone that stands out for you that sort of motivates you or anything, and sort of, I guess, pushes you when it comes to, I guess, like some of these people like Gary Vee and that sort of stuff?
Um, yeah, mainly books, right? Like
Mm,
the people that I'm looking up to, like I don't have access to them personally, and so like
yeah.
I read a lot of books. Trying to think, like from a real estate perspective, there's not many. Actually, one of my mentors that it's crazy. I speak with him every, like, I don't know, 5 or 6 months, and I talked to him last night, and it's one of those things. I don't know, like, it's not that I know everything, but there's not that many people in my immediate circle here in Monroe, Louisiana, that no, respect's not the right word. That I don't value their opinion. Like, I've been doing it long enough.
Mm,
That guy that I called him yesterday, and a few hours later he called me back, and I wanted to bounce some ideas off of him, and we sat and talked and thanked him for his time. And he's one of those, like, you're doing good. Like, he gave me
mm.
like the nod, like, you're doing good, man.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
proud
This
of
gives you the
you,
sort
that
of,
kind of thing. And so anyway, I'm dancing around your answer, I guess, but that's really it. Like, he's just a good old boy from West Monroe, Louisiana. He's been doing this thing a long time, um, but he's stayed consistent with what he's done, and just kind of he's continued to grow it. He went from single family houses Section 8 houses to apartments to commercial. Now he's doing big land deals, and it's impressive to see. It's inspiring, you know. Outside of that, I mean, of course, the horse, I'm into a number of different things. So like I can answer that. Like there's a lot of people that would encompass that answer, you know, but the horse stuff, the podcast stuff, I don't know. I constantly seek it. I constantly seek out those people.
So if, like
Tim
for
Ferriss
me,
Tim Ferriss is one that comes to mind.
Yeah.
Robert Kiyosaki is one that comes to mind, like for the real estate stuff. Aubrey Marcus is another guy. I don't know if you're familiar with him.
Oh, I wrote him down. I'll have to have a look.
He wrote a book called, what is it? Oh man, Win the Day. I have to look it up. Win the Day, Win. Oh man, what?
It'll come to you. It'll come to you when we finish the podcast, and you're like, that was it.
It's a great book, man. It's one of the best as far as routines. I'm a big routine guy, you know, like especially early in the morning. I've got my routine, and man, his is one of the best books that I've found on there.
Yeah, I'd definitely be keen to check that out, man. I mean, sort of being from the Defense Force, sort of military, the routine, it really sort of like for me, like I'm all about it. I need it.
Own the Day, Own Your Life. That's the name of the book.
I've heard that one. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm gonna have to have a look at that.
And then you need like Stoic philosophy, man. I love Stoic philosophy.
Yeah,
like
that's what I noticed from your podcast, man. Like that's what you're all about, and that's why I was really interested to sort of have a chat to you, because so the first time I saw you was on Instagram holding up a sign, and it said a bad day never meant a bad life. Don't let your low points convince you otherwise. And like in that moment, it just sort of resonated me, and to see someone that was sort of like living that country lifestyle, but also being all about, mindset and positivity and that sort of thing. It was, I guess it was something that I hadn't really come across before, like on our socials, because these days, like there's a lot of people out there who are sort of throwing those sort of quotes and that sort of stuff around, who may not actually live that way, or truly believe in it. They're sort of just putting it there as a post because it looks cool. But yeah, man. But there was something about you, bro, like that just sort of resonated with me. I was like, man, this guy looks legit, And then I sort of checked out your profile and went down, and it was really cool, man. Really cool to see. And
thank you,
man.
man.
Started jumping on and listening to your podcast, and you've just got like, you interview a lot of hardworking people, and they all have sort of quotes of their own that they've sort of, I guess, come to believe after the years of sort of putting in the hard work and the hard yakka to be able to get where they are. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you for saying that. And that was a concern of mine going into like starting this thing, like really putting myself out there, because I am a little different, right? Like I am into this cowboy lifestyle, but I'm also into like a progressive mindset. I mean, into exploring, like I'm into psychedelics, like, so like when I started it, I'm like, shit, is this going to resonate with people, and then the poster thing, I don't know. I just started doing it, and I thought it was cheesy. I was going to stop it. And Carrie's one of the sponsors. He's a bitten spur maker over in Weatherford. And
I listened to your podcast with him, actually. It was really good.
Oh yeah, he's a great guy. And he's like, man, you need to keep doing those, So he was the one that encouraged me to keep doing that stuff. And so, like people, like those quotes and the shit that I write about on there, like I'm opening up, I'm being very vulnerable. Those are my thoughts and feelings. Not all of those quotes are mine, but the stuff I write up, what those quotes do for me is they allow me to ponder that thought that somebody else had, that quote, and I'm able to write. And so all of the writing you see is all mine. And I'm not saying that I encompass all of that. I don't embody all of those things. It's a practice. Like I would like to. I practice those things, but it is not, and I say this all the time, like I am not a guru. I'm not on there to preach to anybody like any of these vlogs I do. It's just, this is my experience. This is where my mindset's at right now. And it's up for you for interpretation. Like you can look at it or you can not,
Yeah. No, it's awesome, man. I'd really sort of encourage people to go and check out what you do.